The producers have no financial interest in this presentation. A young myope with retinitis pigmentosa who underwent IOL surgery 4 years ago presented with grossly contracted bag and uprooted IOL into the anterior chamber. Capsular contraction syndrome occurs due to myofibroblastic transformation of lens epithelial cells to produce actin-positive smooth muscles. It first starts as an anterior capsular opacification and later leads to shrinkage of the equatorial diameter and the capsulotomy opening. The incidence of capsular phimosis ranged between 1.5 to 5% reported by different observers. Capsular shrinkage happened as early as 30 days to 5 months and slowed down progression after 5 months. However, dislocations were reported as late as 3 years also. I went ahead in this case, which reported after 4 years. A cursory attempt to open up the capsular excess area with OVD failed. I used a micro scissors to make a nick at the capsulectomy margin in an attempt to open the bag for an ab interno fixation with rings, which threatened the integrity of the bag lens complex. In no seconds, I changed my mind for a safe explantation and intrascleral fixation of a 3-piece IOL. I made 2 flaps, one on the temporal, one on the nasal side, in addition to a main scleral incision superiorly. I gently rocked the lens using a Sinskey's hook and made a visco dissection and brought the IOL bag complex into the anterior chamber with no effort. I filled the chamber with viscoelastic devices and gently explanted the lens and the bag along with vitrectomy of the presented vitreous at the section. A triamcinolone assisted automated anterior vitrectomy was performed. 2 sclerotomies were made under the flaps, and using a MST forceps, the IOL haptics were externalized and then fixed into the scleral pockets, and finally the flaps were secured with fibrin glue. Lenses with hydrophobic properties due to strong adhesions with the capsular margins allow a limited space for active proliferation and migration of epithelial cells, unlike hydrophilic and silicon counterparts, which reduces the area of capsular opening significantly. The reported incidence varied from 0.21% to 1.4% with different lens materials and manufacturers. Broken blood aqueous barriers, as in diabetes, uveitis and retinitis pigmentosa, and various other causes for zonular weaknesses like myopia, trauma, connective tissue disorders, post-retinal surgeries are predisposing factors for capsular contraction in addition to design and properties of IOL materials. Pseudoexfoliation has a dual mechanism of both zonulopathy and broken blood aqueous barriers, while elevated levels of interleukin-1, interleukin-6 and fibroblast growth factor are found in aqueous humor in predisposed cases, which is responsible for proliferation of lens epithelial cells. However, transforming growth factor betas are responsible for transformation of anterior lens epithelial cells into actin-positive smooth muscle cells of myofibroblasts. The imbalance between the centrifugal zonular forces and excess centripetal smooth muscle forces resulted in zonular detachments and dislocation of lens bag complex, while larger excess size adequate PC polishing, maximal removal of anterior lens epithelial cells, and appropriate post-surgical inflammation control could prevent. However, a close monitoring is essential for an early diagnosis. Whitman reported a refractive error shift by one diopter either in sphere or in cylinder is an early sign of capsular contracture. Nd:YAG lasers could help in relaxation of the contracted capsulectomy zone in 78% cases. However, according to Deukel, 22% cases failed and 2 cases had progressive IOL decentrations. The role of intraoperative capsular tension rings in suspected cases could be an effective measure in correcting IOL position and in preventing further contractions, stated by Page and Whitman. Perhaps CTR cannot always resist the centripetal forces generated by the contracting capsular axis and may show a progressive decentration. Gerton and colleagues found the use of femtosecond lasers induce secondary capsular axis, and so are the use of microsurgical scissors and automated vitrectors to relax contracted rhexis margins. Hence, late capsular contraction syndromes may clinically be just an anterior capsular opacification with narrowed rhexis zone, or may lead to reduced equatorial volume and crushed IOL haptics, or may extend as severe as to uproot an IOL and dislocate into vitreous or into the anterior chamber. To conclude, anterior capsule often contracts to some extent in most eyes with perfect capsular axis. Progressive contraction remains an important late complication. The degree of contraction depends on surgical materials, manipulations, and associated ocular comorbidities. A close monitoring helps in early diagnosis and to plan timely treatment as to avoid severe complications of IOL dislocations. IOL exchange and refixation by alternative methods is necessary in severe cases.